Into the latest edition of ESPN FC, I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Ali Moreno, Stevie Nicol and Craig Burley. Gab Marcotti will be joining us shortly, where we start today's show at the Etihad. Manchester City taking on Leicester City, of course. With Liverpool winning on Friday, this was a must-win match for City. And they did, thanks to an absolute stunner from Vincent Kompany, giving them all 3 points, meaning now just one win for City against Brighton. The final day of the season will guarantee them retaining the title. We'll talk about their title chances and what this means for Liverpool a bit later on, but let's just focus on the match. And really, the match is all about that goal from Vincent Kompany, isn't it? Just what a time to produce that strike.
What a player to produce that strike in terms of, one centre-half, two, club captain, three, I believe. I think he's the longest serving player.
Yeah.
I think he is over David Silva. And what happened, he just took it, it kind of opened up for him. And he looked as if he was going to hit it from 30 yards plus, and because nobody closed him down, he took another touch and got him a little bit closer, set himself, and then obviously, for those that saw it, the angles from behind, it went right in the top corner. You can place it in. Schmeichel, who had been fantastic, had absolutely no chance. So, an unexpected scorer, but a heck of a goal.
From a Liverpool's perspective, when you see him running, Stevie, you're like, shoot, go on. Because you're thinking this is going to go over. There's no way he's going to score from there.
I have to admit, part of me was saying, go on then, hit it. Unfortunately, he did hit it, and unfortunately, it was an absolute screamer. You can't really see too much more about Leicester. They gave absolutely everything. They had made challenges and tackles and interceptions, and Schmeichel made saves. But the one mistake they made was not closing the ball. They made one.
Did they do that because it was Kompany?
I think so. Yeah, I think if you looked around, you've got players. You've got Ndidi, who probably ended up being the closest. He ended up going with a runner rather than closing him, because as a defender, you're thinking, right, what's the best option here? And the best option is to leave it with Kompany. Unfortunately, Kompany from nowhere has hit an absolute worldly. But honestly, City deserved the win.
Yeah.
They were by far the better side. And it did feel all the way throughout the game as though it was a matter of time. It just came from the unexpected source.
For all the City domination and all the chances they created and the saves that Schmeichel make and the goal that Kompany scores, Iheanacho has a chance late in the game. And I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better for him coming to his favorite left foot, rolling nice and neatly for him to just be taken first time. And man, you talk about a player that is not ready for the moment. And then, well, of course, we heard the stat that he hasn't scored in 27 matches. And said, well, here's why. There was an opportunity there for him to do a huge favor to Liverpool, came up short. Other than that, Manchester City was all over Leicester, but you could feel the nerves. You could feel the nerves in the stadium. You can feel the nerves from some of the players, some of the decisions that were being made on the field by players that you usually see them completing passes that are simple passes to complete. They weren't doing that with consistency. You see then Pep Guardiola in the silence all over the place as well. He's feeling it too, and Kompany comes up with that goal, and then everything just kind of goes away. It's a great match for City in terms of the result. And I think there's going to be nervous moments ahead. Even if it is away to Brighton, there's going to be nervous moments away, because it just feels like nothing's going to come easy for either Liverpool or City in this last match.
Apparently, when City, to go back to your point, Ali, when City sold Iheanacho to Leicester, they were adamant inserting a 50 million buyback clause,
right,
which is well and truly sailed down the river. Now, not just on tonight's performance or tonight's miss, but I think just as a generalisation. So, in some sense, they were lucky that that wasn't a sort of Jamie Vardy or a Maddison in that position to finish it, because that, and you mentioned it during the game, was Zinchenko's out of position. That late in the game, with the title on the line, and you got one goal up, all good fullbacks and centre-halves are saying, and midfielders are saying, right, stay in your position. Don't go charging forward.
Ali mentioned it. You could feel the tension, even just us watching here,
leading up to that. You mean
leading up to the goal. It came in the 70th minute, in the sense that there was a time that I'm sure City fans are thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the time that we're going to blow it. What's it like as a player in that situation? You must have had similar games when you're on runs for Liverpool, where you need a goal, you can feel the tension from the crowd. As Ali says, the players aren't as slick as you normally would see them.
You know, you have to remember the process of why, with 2 games to go, you're probably going to win the league. You have to remember how that happened. And that means that you don't go trying to do it all on your own. So you don't have anybody just running willy-nilly, trying shots from 40 and 50 yards, just doing stupid things. You try and remember the process that you've done for 9 months that have got you there. And if you do that, then with the possession you have, with the ability you have, you get an opportunity somewhere along the line. And it's an opportunity because nobody closing you from 25 yards, you take the shot. And he scored.
You can't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
I know it's the old cliches. You can't, you know, I remember at Celtic in '98, second last game away from home, thousands of Celtic fans, thousands of them turned up at East End Park, Dunfermline. We had to win, to get the 3 points, it's done. They're giving us it. They're giving us the game beforehand. Right. We go there, we get ahead of ourselves a little bit, don't play particularly well, get a point. So now it has to go to the last game.
Right.
So I think from Guardiola's point of view, and it's a great evening for them. They're on the pitch. They had the Lap Honour last game at the Etihad for this season. However, unlikely they're going to slip up at Brighton, but you can't go into it thinking, well, that's it. We're done. Well, that's it. It's ours.
Let's just remind you then, the final day of the season, we'll see at the same time Liverpool play host to Wolves, Manchester City away against Brighton. This might be a daft question, but I'm going to ask you anyway, Stevie.
Okay.
Who would you prefer?
I'll be honest, I would rather be away at Brighton.
Would you?
Aye.
Than at home against Wolves?
I'll tell you what, right now, there's a couple of teams you obviously don't want to play. Wolves is one of those teams, you know, because Wolves are going to go to Anfield and open up and play. And we've just been talking about the nerves. Liverpool showed a little bit of nerves against Newcastle, and Newcastle opened up and played against Liverpool and almost got a point, or took 2 points off them. Wolves are going to go to Anfield and they will open up and play. And they've got talent and they don't care who they play. They've got the way that they go about it. And regardless of the opposition, regardless of where they are, they play their football. So Wolves is not a team I would love to play having to win a game.
And how about the stadium, Anfield? If things are not going well, that anxiety you start feeling as a player. And so now what should be an advantage that you're playing at home, what should be an advantage that you're using that electricity, all of a sudden that electricity, you are the one who's feeling it as a player, not in a good way, in a way in which it limits you, in a way in which now the passes are not what they're supposed to be, the movement of the ball is not what it's supposed to be, the freedom of the players is not what it's supposed to be, because now you're thinking about the possibility of failure rather than possibility of being the team that wins the championship.
You can guarantee that Liverpool fans, if it's not going well, will absolutely feel it. This is a generation that don't know what it's like to win the league.
Yeah.
They don't know what it's like. I mean, City won it last year, and you could feel their fans being a little tense. Can you imagine what it's going to be like at Anfield? That's not where Liverpool want to be in this game.
That'll all go out the window if they're 3-0 up at Brighton.
Well,
In today's age.
Which would you prefer?
Sorry.
Wolves or Brighton?
Brighton away.
Yeah?
Yeah. And let's be honest, in today's technology, it's not a carrier pigeon.
No, even Stevie could work it
It's
out.
not a carrier pigeon.
They're going to have the radio out of the air during the game.
So, you know, it's not a guarantee that is going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Man City and Arsenal are different, but there was a freedom about Brighton against Arsenal at the weekend, and they played quite well, and they defended quite well at times, and they were a threat going forward. Now, I know Arsenal and City are a different kettle of fish. It's not completely done and dusted, but I think clearly it would be a big surprise if City didn't win.
Let's welcome Gab Marcotti into the show. Gab, what is without doubt, these two teams have been sensational this season. I don't think we've ever seen it before, have we? These sides with more than 90 points and not winning the league.
Yeah, it's a pretty absurd situation. We've seen it in other leagues, and I think one of the key things is there's a very real possibility that Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool will end the season trophyless. And I know that there's going to be some people who judge everything by trophies, same people who last year laughed at Maurizio Sarri because he got 94 points and didn't win anything, which made him a loser, and they might direct the same stuff at Klopp, but that shouldn't be the case because this is an unbelievable season. They really drove City to the wire. I think even today, when Craig spoke before, or sorry, Stevie spoke before about you go back to what got you there, you go through the process. In the end, what gave them the lead was a captain taking responsibility, and gambling from 25 yards out on a very low percentage shot. That's how far Liverpool have pushed them. If they can't push past them at the end, this will still be an absolute standout season for Liverpool.
And the problem for Liverpool is that they've come up against a Manchester City side who've put in a very similar performance that they did last season. This is their 13th straight win in the Premier League. It's an incredible run. And when we talk about these things, Stevie, you always say it is so hard to retain a title.
Yeah.
To go in and put in the same sort of effort.
Yep.
But that's exactly what City have done. We're looking at this longest winning streak when, of course, last year they made it 18. And let's not forget this is a City team who were without last year's star player for much of it. Kevin De Bruyne obviously out.
It's a championship win and run, is what it is. And nobody can argue about it. Liverpool can't argue either. They'll be disappointed that they were ahead at one stage. But it's a true test. When champions are up against it, they turn it around. And that's exactly what City did. And they did it starting with beating Liverpool.
Yeah.
And so nobody can have any complaints. And Liverpool fans cannot have any complaints. Their team absolutely has taken a giant step forward from last year. Yes, we all want trophies. Yes, Liverpool want the Holy Grail in the Premier League. But if they don't win it this year, they need to go and spend some more money, strengthen that squad in a couple of positions, and then get after it again the following year.
I mean, if they do lose it and it's not done, they're losing it to, potentially, they're losing it to the best squad in European football.
Yeah.
Now, clearly they're not going to win Europe's elite event because they're out, but that doesn't necessarily mean they don't have the best squad, which I think they do. Most talented squad. And the fact that Klopp has taken Liverpool to the brink against them is over the course of 38 games and not on a knockout Champions League is amazing. Now, if Liverpool do finish second, I don't deny there will be the odd space cadet who'll phone up a UK broadcast radio station suggesting they should be sacked, because there is always the odd idiot pops up now and again. However, I just think he's taken them. The progression that you're seeing from Liverpool is a real upward trend. The only problem is clearly at the moment Man City are so strong and they're going to be difficult to topple.
Just quickly, this is some dynasty, isn't it? That Manchester City are forming here.
Yeah, and they're not going away anytime soon. You look at the age of the players, they're all coming into their prime or are in their prime. Even a guy like Vincent Kompany, who scores a goal today, you wouldn't think, okay, well, he's on his way out. Well, what a way to go out if that's the case. I mean, that's a historic goal, if you will, for Manchester City. The truth is that Manchester City, they were here last year, they're here this year, and they'll be here next year and the year after that. They're unbeatable at this point.
Company will never have to buy a drink, ever.
I don't think he did anyway.
No, I know. But talk about solidifying that legendary status. That is definitely not in question now. More talk about the Premier League title, of course, throughout the week. Just a reminder, if you ever miss a show, you can download our daily podcast, which is available on the website, or you can subscribe via iTunes. Second leg of the Champions League semi-final tomorrow at Anfield. Liverpool taking on Barcelona. Barca, of course, big favourites going into that second leg after a 3-0 win at the Camp Nou. Liverpool, a lot of injury concerns going into the tie. That's what Jurgen Klopp had to say.
It looks like you have to be perfect to beat them. So, and then we should try that. That's all. Doing that step by step. And creating an atmosphere, using an atmosphere. Celebrate the situation with good football. So it should be a football party. We don't and we don't drink during the game. So we should then, don't know, alcohol at least. So we should then celebrate with football. That's the plan.
Football pie is a nice way of selling it, like how you want to go into this second leg. No Salah, he's out. No Firmino, he's out. Van Dijk is a doubt.
All the best. Celebrate what?
What do you do, Stevie? Like, obviously this is the media.
You just have to go.
How do you set up? What do you?
You have to go and give your best. I don't think they'll change the way they play. They'll just go and give it their best. He's trying to sell it in a positive manner because that's what he does. That's what he's like. He actually probably believes that as well. But the fact is, I mean,
I'm not sure by that at press conference.
Seriously. No, seriously. We've been sitting here most of the season talking about how Liverpool, all the pressure is on the three front players to score goals because there's not a lot coming from anywhere else.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that 2 of the 3 aren't even kicking a ball, so they're going to be replaced by probably Shaqiri or Origi or Sturridge, and you've got to score 4 goals? Come on. It's just not, it's not possible.
Oh, it's possible.
All right. I'll tell you
Well,
what,
I mean-
I'll give you $1,000,000 to 1. How's about it?
Are we
I'll
gonna,
have $1.
are we in a situation where, for example, if Barca score early, already Klopp's thinking about the weekend against Wolves?
I would. If I'm Klopp, I think Liverpool will put out the strongest team tomorrow that they can start with.
Sure.
But if Barcelona score early, right, and I am Klopp, at half-time, I'm taking off who I think I should take off. Regardless who it is, whether you think they may need a rest, if they look a little jaded. You know, I don't think you just turn around and take all your so-called Billy Big-Timers off.
Right.
You know, you try and be clever about it. Look around, see who you think would benefit from being taken off. And as a fan, I would have no problem with that. Because Barcelona scores, Liverpool ain't scoring 5. So take care of the weekend.
To that end, by the way, if you're saying Virgil van Dijk is a doubt, and if there's any doubt about him, then why do you start him? I mean...
Because it's a Champions League semi-final,
well,
don't you kind of...
No, but it's 3-0, Dan. If it was 1-0...
I understand that, but didn't we kill
1-0...
Brendan Rodgers when he went to Real Madrid and played a second-string team? What's the difference?
Well, the difference is that Brendan Rodgers tried to sell to us that it wasn't a second-string team. That's the problem we had. But the problem we had was that he was talking through his you-know-what.
Right.
And he was actually trying to convince us of that. And I'll tell you what they didn't have at the end of that. They weren't going for a Premier League title that they haven't won for 29 years. So you have to be sensible about this.
The other thing is that you can learn from a lesson that happened just 10 days ago, just a week ago. Firmino was a doubt in the first leg. Then they go down 3-0. It's like, well, it feels like we have to get something going. And what happened? Now he's out. And he's been out now for an extended period of time, and he's not available for you. He wasn't available for you in the weekend. He wasn't available for you now coming up on this match. You want the same thing happen to the player of the year, to Virgil van Dijk, when you have the game on the weekend against Wolves and the league is hanging on that? I mean, this is why the coaches make the money that they make, and they have to make these decisions. But I'm just saying you have to have a bigger picture in place rather than just saying, well, we just got to get after it at Anfield and hope that the electricity of the stadium is going to be enough for us to score 3 goals.
They did score an away goal, but Roma did collapse. But Barca did collapse last year.
Right.
Now, are Liverpool a better side than Roma? You bet they're a better side. But then, of course, if with the 2 players out, it takes away a bit. I mean, if Van Dijk's out, I think you can forget it, completely forget getting any kind of result because who's going to marshal that defence with Messi? But I would just like to see if Liverpool were to get a goal in the first 20 or 30 minutes, I would just like to see the reaction. At least then we have something of a game on.
Yeah.
Whereas if Barca score early, you know, you might as well get off your seat and go home.
But then if you were the coach, if you were Klopp,
Yeah.
and that happens, and then from nowhere they get a goal, would you then start thinking about maybe taking some players off?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, if there's one man who could convince us that Liverpool are going to win tomorrow, then it's got to be Mr. Contrarian, Gab Marcotti. Gab, what's your case here for a historic night at Anfield?
Right. I'm really not being contrarian here. I'm saying there's something that you can control. You can control this game. If you win this game 3-0, people can say they have to score 4 goals. They don't. They need to score 3 goals, and then you go into extra time, and then it's anybody's game, and then maybe it goes to penalties and whatever. You know, no, you can win this on penalties too. You remember Istanbul. You can win it that way too.
Actually,
but the point
you're
is,
correct.
And people keep bringing up the Roma away goal is irrelevant in this context, right? You don't control you don't control your destiny in the Premier League. What Manchester City do against Brighton, you have no control over. You can beat Wolves 10-0, and it's not going to make a jot of difference if City win against away to Brighton. You saw what happened last year. Of course, Salah. Of course, it's a long shot. But you saw the game plan. You saw what Liverpool did to them in the first leg when it was very even. I thought Liverpool controlled big chunks of the game. You saw the game plan they used last year. You see the fact that Ousmane Dembele, who is really the only quick forward that Barcelona have, he's not going to be playing. If you take a wild gamble, and maybe you don't play Van Dijk in the end if you're so concerned about him, although I don't think Van Dijk's going to make much of a difference against Wolves. I think Liverpool, if they need to win that game, they will win that game. But what they did last year is they played an insanely high line. They tried to press the life out of Barcelona. Valverde, I think foolishly, tried to react by hitting balls.
With quite a frank exchange during the game.
Yeah, well, this, of course, there is a backstory to this. Last Wednesday, Bakayoko turned up an hour late for training, claiming he had ran out of gas on the ring road around Milan. So Gattuso's reaction was not just to punish Bakayoko, but to punish the whole team. They basically weren't allowed to go home. They had to stay at the training ground, what they call retiro, sort of like a mini camp, not see their families right up until Monday night when they played this game against Bologna. So that was the priors. What happened here, Biglia gets hurt in the 26th minute. Gattuso tells Bakayoko to start changing and getting dressed. Bakayoko's grumpy to begin with. He's not doing it quickly enough. So Gattuso says, all right, screw this. He sends somebody else on. He sends on Jose Mauri. And then he has words with Bakayoko, who then, and I'm not a lip reader, but it's been widely reported, answers him in English with an expletive more than once, to which Gattuso responds, okay, well, we'll talk about it later in the dressing room. Gattuso asked about it after the game, says, oh, no, I haven't spoken to Bakayoko yet, but you can be sure that I will, and it'll be just me and him in the dressing room. So stay tuned for this one. But I think the interesting upshot is Bakayoko, a guy who seemed central to Milan until a couple months ago, looks like he could be heading back to Stamford Bridge when his loan ends at the end of the season.
Away from that drama, Gab, obviously a big result regarding top four. We know Milan's so desperate for it because of the financial implications, but you've got to say Atalanta are the front runner, aren't they? Deservedly at the moment.
Unbelievable what they've done. And remember, Atalanta started the season poorly. They're a remarkable story. In Europe's Big Five leagues, nobody has scored more goals away from home than Atalanta have. On top of that, of course, they're also the top goal scorers in Serie A. They simply take the pitch and they try to outscore you. I don't think there's a team in Serie A that works harder and plays with more intensity. They're a joy to watch. And remember, this is a team that was basically gutted 2 years ago when they sold all the kids, brought in a bunch of sort of short-term veterans, and now these guys are getting the job done.
I still get visions of Bakayoko driving the car within 100 yards of the training ground, getting out and shoving it, trying to sell it. Look,
yeah,
I tell you what,
I like that.
Well, I may have tried that myself.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, by the way, Gattuso's been watching too many movies. Because that's the only time that thing works, in the movies. Right. Somebody steps out of line and you punish the whole team and they all bond together. And they all live happily ever after.
Steve?
What's a lot of nonsense?
What movie?
I've never seen a movie with
that.
movies.
Shut up. All these stupid movies where they're all about
how many
team.
movies have...
Honestly, God.
I'm going to give you one. Miracle with the USA hockey team, 1980.
He's not seen that.
Oh. Well, I'm giving you one.
No, but seriously, honestly.
What? I gave you a movie.
I tell you what, if you want to upset the rest of your team, if you're the coach and you're going to punish the rest of the team because of one guy, then I'll tell you what, good luck. Because they'll shove it back right in your face. Idiot.
Depends if they've been watching the movies.
Honestly, God.
Bend it like Beckham, where are we?
Somebody steps out of line and everybody's going to get punished. There you go. Amateur hour.
We'll end where we started.
That hockey team, those players were all amateurs, by the way.
We'll end where we started. Vincent Kompany, very much the star of the show at the Etihad. This is what he had to say after the game.
All I'm going to say is I've scored goals like that in training. And no, you know what? It's a funny story because it's 15 years of top-level football. of having midfielders telling me, don't shoot, play the ball wide, play the ball wide. And every single time I miss, I told them for 15 years, I promise you, I said, one day I'm going to have a shot from outside the box and I'm going to score a goal and you're going to be really happy with that one. And today it happened. It's a big goal. We've not achieved anything, but it was an important win against a very, very strong team.
We also saw some tears there at the end. What was the emotion about?
I don't know. I play every game of my career as if it's, in the last years I've played every game as if it's the last game of my career. And, it takes a lot of hard work. And it's, every game is potentially the last one. So you never know. I don't know at this point, but, at least I made it count.
Into maybe retirement then?
Yeah, well, make a movie of that goal, wouldn't it?
It'll bring the team together.
No, he's been.
No, that will bring the team together.
Yeah, a goal like that.
You'll watch that movie then.
I think he was still choking up a bit there in the interview, wasn't he?
It's the emotions, the adrenaline, everything.
Well, to be fair, every time he stepped on the field the last couple of years, most of the time he's come off injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's enough beat there.
That's another movie.
Stay tuned for extra time. Welcome into Extra Time. Now, in yesterday's Extra Time, we set up a story involving Stevie, a party, and Uber. Would you mind us sharing the story?
Go on,
You get that one quiet, eh?
Well, I believe it was the gentleman to the left.
So what happened was Alexis
Nunes, who presents the show occasionally, is moving to London.
She was having a going away do. So my wife very kindly went out and got her a present.
Right.
So I took it with me in my bag.
Yes.
And got in the back of the Uber. Mm-hmm. Now, we got to the place where we were all beating.
Hold on.
You still have your bag?
Hold on. Why can't you just take the present? Why did it have to be in a bag?
Oh, because that's what they do. They get a big bag and they put old paper, coloured paper in it.
We're going on for this.
Come on. So I got to the place and it was a brewery.
Right.
And it looked closed. So I got out. I said to the guy, "Hold on, I'm going to check that this is the place."
Yep.
So sure enough, it was. But I forgot I'd left the bag in the back of the car, and I gave him one of them. Yeah, we're all right. I see you. So he drove off.
Okay, so the present's gone.
The present's gone. So I got into Alexis. I said, "Look, Alexis, I'm just going to tell you. I got you a present, and Ellen got you a present, but I've left it in the back of the Uber." I said, "So you're never going to speak to her or anything, but just tell her you loved it."
Right.
Anyway.
Cover story.
Anyway, so I got home next morning. Eleanor said, "Oh, how did Alexis like a present?" And I went, "She absolutely loved it." She went, "Funny that. The Uber's been in touch to say they've left the bag in the back of the car." I was like,
What? And what did she say to you that you had what? The audacity?
She goes, "And you had the audacity to tell me that she loved it." Oops.
Okay, let's go. Did we just witness the goal of the season from Company?
Maybe the most important.
Yeah, most important goal.
I still think the goal at the same end, actually, in the same ground.
Andros Townsend?
From Andros Townsend
Yeah.
was... Volley was arguably... Possibly. Not as someone suggested back in England, that Pierre Aubameyang's closing down of Ben Foster.
Yeah, who was that? Which
That was
pundit?
Dean Saunders.
What did he say?
Said that's goal of the season.
No.
Yes.
Okay, we're taking the mickey.
He wasn't.
Dean takes a mick.
Gab,
He wasn't.
do the early exits in the Champions League for Man City in the past 2 seasons dampen their incredible 2 domestic seasons in the Premier League at all?
I don't think so. I think those are just 2 very different competitions. So, by the way, those early exits, I mean, they were in the quarterfinals. It's not that early in the competitions. I think there were things that they could have done differently in both legs, or certainly in both instances against Liverpool and against Spurs. They were certainly, I think, a bit unlucky. Not to say the opposition wasn't deserving, but they were also a bit unlucky both against Spurs and against Liverpool. And that's what it is. It's a knockout competition, and over 2 legs, anything can happen.
Premier League's harder to win, isn't it? Than Champions League?
City's not making it look like that, are they? They're making it look as though the Premier League's easier than the Champions League the way they're going.
I think the damning part for Manchester City is that they lost to 2 Premier League teams.
Yeah.
If they had gone out to Barcelona or they had gone out to Real Madrid or whomever, maybe the perception is different. But because it's two teams that you've been better than domestically, you would have thought that they would have been better than them also in Champions League, and they weren't.
Who would have had the more successful season? Chelsea clinching the top and losing the Europa League, I think that means top 4, or Arsenal winning the Europa League and missing the top 4?
Sorry, I've got earpiece trouble.
Okay, earpiece probably. Couldn't hear me. Could you not hear me?
Yeah, well, this is more important.
So what's the problem?
Well, it's dropping in and out.
But you could hear me.
Yeah, but it's more important.
Why? What was
I'm not
talking to
interested
you?
in this, I don't care.
Getting into the Champions League
Got another
next
show.
year is far more important. Well,
Europa League.
yeah, Europa League gets you in there.
Right.
And then you get a trophy.
You okay? You thinking about the present again?
I think Emery would have. I think in that basis, Emery's done it with. I think Arsenal have got a poor. I don't think Chelsea have got a great squad, but I think Arsenal have got a poorer squad of players.
Is it not going to be more satisfying as a team and as a staff that you get in the top 4 and qualify for the Champions League than winning the Europa League, which at the end of the day is a second-rate tournament? Yes, it's a trophy, but it's a second-rate tournament. So I would suggest that if I was a coach, I would be more satisfied that my team were in the top 4 and qualified that way.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Steve, it would be more satisfying for a team if you're raising a trophy that gets you into the same competition that top 4 would have gotten you into anyways. I mean, you're celebrating
But
actually lifting a trophy.
would you not rather be a better team over the course of a season and actually get yourself into the top 4 than have to rely on winning a second-rate tournament?
Yeah, but winning,
I mean, you're going to
winning is more satisfying than say, hey guys, we
Well,
we
you know
came in
what?
for
Well,
it.
you know what? Going into the tournament that's got teams that are complete garbage in and make sure you win a trophy every year and then end up outside the top 4, which is actually the most important thing.
They get into the Champions League. That's what top 4 gets you.
I'm talking from a satisfaction point of view. As a coach, if I'm a coach, I'm more satisfied if my team over the course of 9 months, not in a second-rate knockout tournament where you probably don't play a decent team till you get to the semi-final, I'm saying it's more satisfying.
But Chelsea haven't exactly set the world alight getting in the top 4, have they?
But they're in the top 4, Dan. It's more satisfying for me as a coach to get my team in the top. Look at Sarri. We were all talking before Christmas that Sarri's lost the plot and he's going to get the sack if they don't get in the top 4, blah, blah, blah. Now, every man and his dog. Gab said it earlier on the show that, you know, the goal was, one of Sarri's goals to keep his job was to get in the top 4. There you go.
Gab, where do you stand on this?
I mean, the question specifically about Arsenal and Chelsea, and I think what you need to bear in mind is that I think Arsenal were starting from a lower base than Chelsea were because, of course, Chelsea won the title 2 years ago. They finished 5th last year. Arsenal just getting out of that 20-year relationship with Arsene Wenger. So I think the goal for Arsenal, obviously they wanted to finish top 4, but the goal was really to see forward progress, team building this season. I think they could have lived with 5th place if they saw that. If on top of that they win the Europa League, then hey, that's gravy and that's great. We're going to the Champions League next year. I think for Chelsea, it was absolutely imperative that they qualify for the Champions League and finish top 4. And so for that reason, I think probably Arsenal would, in that scenario, Arsenal would be better off.
Chelsea getting in the top 4, Champions League football, probably can't sign any players, and that's what the Champions League helps you do. Ain't going to win that competition with the players that they've got, and ain't going to win the league with the players that they've got, and that includes Arsenal, so pretty pointless all round, really, isn't it? Might as well not even bother. I mean, seriously. So there's your top 4. The 3rd and 4th ain't going to win a hoot.
Right. Is there a difference on what position carries the captain? Do teams play better defensive when the captain's a defender, midfielder more control with the captain, or are teams better with a captain forward? Make a difference?
I always preferred the captain to be a midfielder or a defender,
Right.
but I just like people that communicate.
So you didn't necessarily need the armband to do that?
No.
You know, just because a guy's got an armband doesn't automatically make him the so-called captain. And if you needed evidence of that, you saw that at the weekend with Van Dijk.
Right.
He doesn't wear the armband. Henderson's got the armband. He's supposed to be the captain. You found out in that game who the leader of the team is.
But to the question, does it make a difference if it's a defender, midfielder, forward, goalkeeper?
I'm kind of with Craig. I'm not that keen on forwards having the band. So yeah, I would prefer a centre back, to be honest with you. I think because your centre back can see everything in front of them.
Yep.
And then can communicate, as Craig was saying.
I just want somebody you can trust, and somebody you can believe in, and somebody that that whether he's the true leader of the team or not, I'm not so sure. But a guy that shows up in the locker room and you can gravitate towards, and not some guy that is an absolute pain in the backside, but because of seniority, he's given the captain armband, and somehow you have to be respectful and appreciative of what he brings to the team. I don't want that guy.
I mean, that's Icardi in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want that guy.
You don't want that guy.
Final point. What's the longest streak you've worn the same jumper for? Can you beat Pep Guardiola with his grey hoodie streak? Jumper jersey. I feel drawn to you, Stevie, in the green belfry outfit that we see you in quite a lot on the golf course. That must be quite old.
I will tell you, that jumper is
Sweater.
probably... Sorry, sweater.
Sweater over here and...
I beg your pardon. I'm going to say... at least 20 years old.
Yes, but it's held its shape well. I had it folded up in the back of my car the other day, and my wife thought it was a blanket for the dog.
Quality lasts.
20 years.
It's at least 20 years.
Well, it's a lovely colour.
Well, I've been here. Hold on. I've been here 20 years, right? And I brought it with me.
Wow, so more than that.
So it's more than 20 years old, that jumper.
And you know it's been raining here quite a bit, right? So when he's out there in the golf course and it's raining and that thing gets wet, it's like a Brillo pad.
Wow.
This thing just starts kind of hanging off of his body. It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Isn't it Yves Saint Laurent sitting out there, eh?
What did you just say?
Yves Saint Laurent.
I have no idea.
Oh, dear. Do you have anything that's 20 years old?
No.
No.
No, right. By the way, I'll be wearing it on Wednesday.
Why don't you buy
There
a
you
new
go.
one?
Got a new jumper.
You got a new one.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's comfy.
I like
Listen, this man is doing
I really
what he's
don't
not
care.
doing for the golf fashion industry in the US. No one
it. Couldn't
knows.
care less. I like it, so I'll wear it.
Oh, that's lovely.
Regardless of what you
No, but
like.
hold on. You can't actually like it. You just
I
wear
do.
it because you don't want to buy anything else.
I did
You
not.
can't.
Not
there's
at all.
you can't put
Absolutely
that on
not.
and stand in front
Do you
of the
think I
mirror.
stand in front of him and go, I wonder if the lads are going to like my outfit today?
But you like that.
The same one every day.
Yeah.